So with Ironheart coming out, I thought I'd review the Iron Man trilogy. I did the '90s animated show. I wish there was more Ironheart related media, like other than comics. So I don't really have too much interest in going to any particular comic. So if you do have recommendations, I guess put it down in the comments. But Iron Man, I guess would be the easiest route to find stuff to review in preparation for that show. This movie I reviewed before. I reviewed all the MCU movies after Endgame came out, and it was during COVID. I was just binging through them all, and I was just, this one's overrated. This one's overrated. This one's overrated, and that was basically the reviews. They were terrible reviews. Really regret making them. So it's nice to actually rewatch them and give them proper reviews. I was just so done with Marvel because every movie felt like every fucking fanboy on the planet loved and adored no matter what, and it was kind of crazy. But this movie is a really good movie. I think this movie's crazy to me, honestly, watching it, knowing what the MCU is now, because this movie feels like an indie movie. Not in terms of like story or anything, but in terms of like the filmmaking. A lot of the effects here are very practical, and there's a lot of really cool filming techniques and things behind the scenes that you can hear about this movie and how it got made, and you see that on the screen. The way that this movie barely has any action scenes, and it has a big climactic superhero battle at the end, which is one of the worst aspects of the movie, shockingly, right? Because this is a superhero movie, and so when you're watching this movie, it just kind of feels so unique. That probably has something to do with that back in the day when the MCU was first coming out. They didn't have a lot of money. They weren't owned by Disney yet. Marvel wasn't bought out by Disney yet. And they were very much like not having a lot of faith. They had, like, this movie was distributed by Paramount. That's why it's got the Paramount at the top, even though this is a Marvel and Disney release. But, because of the fact that this movie is, Marvel had to go through distributors to get these things released, and they didn't have a lot of faith in the MCU as a whole idea, but it really paid off. This movie's really good, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, there were so many great moments of just character in this movie, and just sitting, watching Tony invent stuff and build stuff. Super engaging. A lot of just sitting around talking, which you wouldn't expect in a movie like this to be good. Also, it's the right length. Like, it's about 2 hours. It doesn't need to be much more than that. Perfect length. That great ending. I am Iron Man. And, seeing Tony by the end of this movie being someone who wouldn't sacrifice himself to being somebody who would sacrifice himself kind of makes death hit a little bit harder in Endgame. Something I really never connected with towards the end of that battle in this movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm surprised that I really never connected with this movie the way I did, but honestly, watching it again, I'm like, wow, this is actually a really solid movie. I don't know what I was complaining about before. Really good movie.